YouTube? I'm Danielle, and this is Kitchen Optimist. I'm a novice cook, but expert eater, taking on recipes that scare the sugar out of me 1 teaspoon at a time. So let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way first. Number 1, my hair's kind of looking like this. Let's just pretend that it looks normal and totally good. Number 2, my neighbor is having work done on her house, but I already took today off from work to film. So I just have to go with it. Unintentionally, a lot of my videos have turned into me trying to recreate restaurant dishes from New York that I miss desperately. And I guess it makes sense because the majority of my adult eating life has been spent in New York City. Today, we're trying to recreate the Lady M crepe cake. Lady M's, I believe, was originally on the Upper East Side. They are known for a crepe cake. And this is just layer after layer after layer after layer of crepes, and also pastry crepe, which is even better. I'm using the recipe from cleobutera.com. I'll make sure to link the recipe below for your use. I've never used any of her recipes before, and I'm going for this one because it includes the brulee top, which for me seals the deal in duping, at least visually, this extremely expensive, iconic, and delicious baked good. The recipe claims it takes an hour and a half of prep time plus an additional 2 hours for a total of 3.5 hours. Let's get started. First, we make the crepe dough batter concoction first because it needs to sit for the 2 hours. Our first step is combining 1.5 cups of flour, 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and half a teaspoon of salt. We whisk it together. Now, in a medium bowl, we're combining 6 large eggs, 1.5 teaspoons vanilla extract, 3 cups of whole milk, 6 tablespoons of butter that I'm about to go melt in the microwave. Be right back. It's really hot. I wonder if I need to be concerned about it cooking the eggs. Let's pre-mix a little bit. I don't know why I think that will help the egg cooking potential. The eggs are robust. Oh, it is. It's definitely cooking some. In for a penny, in for a pound. Now we combine. Do a little bit at a time. Now, this doesn't actually seem super lumpy, but the directions say that the next step is to use an immersion blender to make it very smooth and lump-free. So that's what I'm gonna do because I'm a rule follower. It seems very smooth and lump-free. Now this goes into the fridge for a minimum of 2 hours, but up to a day. That's 1 cup of milk that we're gonna heat on the stove. We're actually supposed to be heating that with the vanilla bean. Now we heat this on the stove over medium heat until the edges simmer. 4.5 tablespoons of sugar. I lost count. 1, 4.5. 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 cup of milk, and 3 egg yolks. Okay, I overheated that milk. I am just excited that it did not boil over as it so frequently does for me. So I think maybe I give it a second to cool down so I don't fully scramble my eggs. Okay, we're gonna go for it. I'm judgmental of the instruction for this to be a small bowl. Now we take this over to the stove where we reheat over medium heat, whisking it constantly until a few bubbles burst the surface and the mixture is glossy. About 30 seconds. Let's go. Oops, it's a bit zealous. So you can sort of see there are some yellowier spots, which I'm sure means the texture is going to be a little off. It doesn't seem like it is thickening, and it has certainly been longer than 30 seconds. I just saw some bubbles. It does not look glossy and it does not seem thicker. Okay, maybe it's thickening a little bit now. Definitely longer than 30 seconds. Let's turn it off. It just all turned real fast. Now we are pushing this through fine mesh strainer. I don't know how this is getting through a strainer. Girl, how is this going through? I should have used a bigger strainer. I think that's less than number 1. Okay, it is. It is making it through. Ish. I guess trust the process. One thing is, I had a really hard time determining when bubbles were breaking the surface, because when you're whisking constantly, bubbles are constantly being created. So better cooks than I probably know intuitively the difference between agitation bubbles and chemical change due to heat bubbles, but I'm not one of them. It certainly took me longer than 30 seconds, but when it happened, it was like super quick. From straight liquid to all of a sudden gelatinous. Until glossy is also not a good measure for me because liquid's glossy. This part should have been in the small bowl and the other part should have been in the medium bowl. I've covered this with plastic wrap, touching the surface to keep a film from forming. And this goes into the fridge for a minimum of an hour or up to overnight. So now I wait for an hour and 17 minutes until my batter's done napping. See you soon. I messed up. I was supposed to whisk in butter. Did not call for it to be heated. I heated it a little bit to compensate for the fact that I let the custard cool for a few minutes. It was only in the fridge for like literally 2 minutes. It's still pretty warm. Can't trust me to do anything. Take two. And we're back. We're whisking to reincorporate. I don't know how long. I'm gonna call that reincorporated. And then we're moving over to the stove where we're heating oil. Doesn't say what kind, so I'm gonna go with vegetable. Until it shimmers, then we're wiping it out and starting to add the batter in. Let's go do it. Half a teaspoon of oil seems like a very light amount, but I'm gonna act as directed and hope for the best. Quarter cup batter on the far side. Ooh, and tilt it towards myself. It's happening, it's all coming together. Hot. I feel okay about that. 2 down and 18 more to go. My crepes are in the fridge, cooling completely. They've been in there for about 16 minutes. In my chilled bowl, I'm combining 3 tablespoons of sugar, the whisk attachment, 3 cups heavy whipping cream, beating at a medium speed until frothy, and then increasing the speed to high until stiff peaks form, making sure not to overbeat. I think they're stiff. I also think the line between stiff peaks and over whipped is still a bit nebulous for me. Well, now I get why this is in the medium bowl. So this is to be folded until there are no yellow or white streaks. Here, you want some? It seems this maybe should have been in a big bowl. We are now ready for assembly. It's pretty simple. It's crepe followed by about 1/3 cup of pastry cream, 20 times. So let's do it. I continue to have a problem with keeping my size consistent. The other thing that I noticed is one side is consistently more toasty than the others, and it was the side closer to me. So now I need to refrigerate this for another 1 to 2 hours, which is really calling into question that whole sitting time of 2 hours, because we already did that. All right, in it goes, and I'll see you soon. Okay, she has sat for an hour. So next up, the bruleeing part. I went out and bought this, and by that I mean clicked a button on Amazon. Butane gas not included. I don't know why I was hoping maybe that meant extra butane gas not included. Well, given this development, this is my final unbruleed attempt at a Lady M's crepe cake. So first things first, it kind of looks like that scene in Sleeping Beauty where Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather are trying to make Aurora her birthday cake and it keeps sliding down. We'll just call this an homage to that, shall we? It is nowhere near as picturesque as Lady M's. I did not expect it to be. It is also nowhere near as bruleed as Lady M's, which I did expect it to be. Let's get to the eating part. Okay, so texture-wise, obviously it's missing the brulee. Let's ignore that. I kind of think it needs to sit longer. Or maybe I just did too much of the cream. It feels less set up than the Lady M's ones. But flavor-wise, as the saying goes, I am happy as a pig and shit. I love this. This is great. I'm not really a birthday party person for myself, but if I were, I would 100% make this and serve this. It wouldn't be sad to make your own birthday cake. This would be something that I would bring to a potluck for somebody I really like. Kind of need a big group of people to eat this, but this took forever and was very nitpicky. So I cannot imagine doing this on top of a meal. This would have to be my entire contribution to the culinary experience. Although, I mean, you can make the pastry cream and the batter the day before. Maybe if I were just cooking and then assembling and then also waiting, maybe I could do that. But it would still have to be for people that I really, really like. I don't like that many people. Friends in the future, if you get served this at my house, you'll know that I really, really like you. So timing. She says that this recipe takes 3 hours and 30 minutes, including an hour and a half of prep time and 2 hours of resting time. That is bullshit because you have to rest the dough for 2 hours and then you also have to put the assembled cake back in for at least an hour. So that math ain't mathin', as the kids say. It took me a total time of 6 hours, 13 minutes, and 5 seconds. That is a lot of time. Granted, half of that time was not active. Or, I mean, I guess it sort of was because during one of those I made the pastry cream, with the exception of where I had to real quick mix the butter in because I forgot to add it to the pastry cream. I don't think I made any real mistakes here. So I just think it takes longer than she said. It would have been longer had I been able to brulee this because you then have to put it back in the fridge. Cost-wise. For ingredients, this does cost $53.28. Less than the price of one of these cakes. Equipment-wise, we're looking at $751.65. The bulk of that being the KitchenAid. You don't need to have a KitchenAid to make this. You could certainly use a non-KitchenAid stand mixer to make this. The total cost is $804.93. I include the cost of all of the items because everybody's kitchens are stocked differently. I would make this again. I consider this a win. The major fail here being the lack of butane. So time intensive, highly caloric, but very good. And one day when I figure out how to make consistently sized crepes, it's over for you hoes. I judge her indication that you can just use your fingers to flip them because yes, you can, but you also have to be ready that your fingers are going to be mildly burned by the end of those. Just the tips. That's what he said. So you better be prepared for that. Everything about this was worth slightly burnt fingertips. This is not going to be something that becomes my signature dessert for sure, because I would need to have a signature non-job to make things like this on a daily basis. But it is so good, and I'm so excited to have made it. Once that brulee thing gets worked out, it really will fill that Lady M void for me. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what other fancy French dessert I should try. Let me know where you buy butane. I'm Danielle. This is Kitchen Optimist, fighting the good fight for mediocre cooks everywhere. Stay sweet.